Once upon a time, a man named Mick married a star named Anne. They got married on one of Saturn's moons. They traveled back to Earth with Anne's star powers. They had a son named Jake. Jake was born with a diamond upon his chest. While he was still in his mother's womb, the spirit of birth told him that this diamond would be of use in the future. As Jake grew older, he became very smart. He was top of the class and scored 100% in all of the subjects on his report card. Because of this, some of his classmates envied him and began to hate him. One of these people was Zane. He was arrogant and greedy. He wanted to be the best person in the world. He hated Jake more than the others. Jake, meanwhile, continued to be modest, kind, and caring. When Jake was in his 20s, he went out for a hunt. As he was riding by on his horse, he saw a beautiful lady riding on a majestic horse. That very moment, Jake was speechless, for he was love-struck. He heard one of the men with her call her a princess. He also heard them talk about her husband-to-be. "Oh, princess, what a husband-to-be! Why would I even think she would like me?" thought Jake, and he glumly went home. After a few weeks, Jake saw the princess, whose name was Serafina, coming into town, but without a husband-to-be. Jake's hearing was more keen than a bat, and he heard one of Princess Serafina's subjects ask her where her husband-to-be was. Princess Serafina just said that her heart told her she had someone else planned for her. The next day, Jake went out on a walk. Princess Serafina went out on a walk too. While the princess was smelling some flowers, Jake accidentally bumped into her. Princess Serafina and Jake both said their apologies. They chatted, and Jake invited the princess to walk with him. Princess Serafina was worried at first, for her father might be looking for her because she was out for quite some time. But she went with Jake anyway, for he seemed very kind. Jake and Princess Serafina walked into a garden patch. Then, Jake led the princess to the top of a hill. Before them lay the best view of the garden patch. They also saw flower fields all around the hill. Jake wanted to impress Princess Serafina, but he didn't know what to do. A faint voice in his head said, "Fly, fly, fly." And he suddenly felt as light as a feather. He told the princess to hold his hand. She held it tight, and Jake gently jumped. A few moments later, they were soaring high in the sky. They saw mountains, forests, and others. Since they were so high up in the sky, and Jake's vision was clearer than an eagle's, he actually saw Mount Everest. They went higher up in the sky, and then the sky started turning darker. They had reached outer space. They went to one of Saturn's moons, where Jake's parents got married. They had a good time there. It was time to go back to Earth, and they headed back. They went back home. Jake noticed when he was home that a little ruby appeared beside the diamond on his chest. He knew this ruby symbolized his love for the princess. The next day, Jake wanted to see the princess again, so he went to the palace and climbed up its walls to reach Princess Serafina's chamber, which was 100,000 meters high, so she will stay safe. Good thing Jake was persistent in climbing those 100,000 meters of palace walls. At last, he reached the chamber. Jake and Princess Serafina had tea and enjoyed themselves. Then, Jake went back home. Zane, Jake's childhood foe, also wanted the princess, but in a bad way. So, he climbed up the palace walls into Princess Serafina's chamber and kidnapped her. When Jake heard about this, he ran straight to Zane's house. He saw Zane holding a knife to Princess Serafina's neck. As Jake was about to stop him, Zane cut the princess's neck and she fell down on the floor. Jake became so angry, he tore Zane's leg off. Then he began tearing bits of flesh from his body. Zane was left there in his house to bleed to death. Jake mourned for Princess Serafina for many days, until one day, Jake was just looking at the ruby on his chest, for it had now turned a very faint scarlet. Then it rapidly became very bright again. The diamond beside the ruby started to shine until the light it was producing could blind people. But Jake could stand it. Out of the wall in Jake's room, where his light shone, came Princess Serafina. The princess showed Jake a diamond upon her chest with a bright ruby beside it. She explained that these two gems brought her back. Jake also showed her the gems on his chest and realized that these two gems gave him powers, like being able to fly and killing Zane. Jake then took Princess Serafina's hand in marriage. They got married on the same moon where Jake's parents got married. They lived in a new palace and led a long line of kings after them.